Hi everyone, it's Maddie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do just a little chit chat video with everyone talking about one of the most frequently asked questions that I get both here on YouTube and on Instagram, and it is all about reselling bags. So this is a controversial topic, I know, especially as someone who's a creator on YouTube. You know, there's like those negative comments or the haters or whoever, the realists, whatever you want to call them, that will say, you know, a lot of YouTubers will buy just to sell. And that is never my intention when I'm purchasing a bag. I always am super in love with a bag when I buy one. But the truth is not every bag, you know, will resonate with me and my personal style forever. I'm a human, I evolve, I change over time, I'm growing, you know, things get different. And then as I was growing my collection, I grow and edit, which is where it comes to resale. So for me, I, you know, don't tend to feel bad about resale, but I know that some people have a lot of feelings about it, and I want to be sensitive to that. I think, you know, the great thing about luxury handbags is they do have this second life on the pre-loved market, on the resale market, and in that way it is kind of like you know, a marketplace that keeps on living. These aren't just bags that, you know, when you're done with it, you donate it and then it goes to landfill and creates a bunch of waste that way. There is a ton of waste with luxury purchases. I don't want to totally like idealize it, but in the way that it continues to have value, even when you're ready to move on from the pieces, I think that's one of the positives of luxury shopping. So for me, there's different categories of resell, and there's several different resellers or reselling platforms that I personally use. This is not advice. I encourage everybody to do their own research and make their own decisions about what's best for them. You know, I don't want to like make any promises or endorsements or anything, because every single one of these platforms has different pitfalls. But this is just my opinion, what works for me and what I have done. And if that's useful for you, then I hope that's useful for you and you can take something away from it. So first of all, you know, as someone who's active on Instagram and YouTube, there's always the option of doing like a closet sale on YouTube, on Instagram. Now for that, I would say the pros are, you know, there's no fees. You get all of the money, nothing like gets wasted to PayPal or anything like that. But it is a lot more work. You have to do all of the packaging and the shipping and the insuring and the vetting yourself. And if there's any problems, then it becomes your problem. And so while you are saving a certain percentage of money in one way, you're not really saving it because you're responsible for it. And so you really have to be careful to vet the buyers. I mean, people have had nightmares happen with PayPal invoicing. So invoicing protects the buyer, but it can create problems for the seller if the buyer's not honest, and it can just result in a whole mess and a lot of extra work. And then on top of that, if you're using your platform on YouTube, on Instagram to sell, you have to be really careful looking at the terms of service of these platforms. Instagram was like not designed for selling on stories, and they don't always necessarily condone that. And you know, as a individual person, like I'm not a licensed reseller, I don't understand all the rules. So just be careful leveraging your platform that way. I will say I do have a separate closet account that I use on Instagram, Maddie Shops Closet, but I mostly do lower value items on there. If I, you know, were trying to rehome a Louis Vuitton bag, I would just have trepidation about selling to someone that I didn't know, that wasn't vetted directly through that platform. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of anxiety, and it's a lot of stress. And so that's like the first category. The second category are, you know, someplace like Poshmark, which is kind of like halfway in between DIY and then a platform like Fashionfile or the RealReal. Poshmark is good to me for the lower value items. So if you have, let's say, a Coach bag or a Michael Kors bag that Fashionfile or the RealReal wouldn't take, then I think Poshmark's actually a really good platform for that. I've had a lot of, good interactions on that platform, reselling some Stony Clover items that no longer served me and moving them on to good homes. And what's great about Poshmark is they provide the shipping label. And so you don't need to think about calculating shipping. You don't need to really, they help mediate returns or issues or anything like that. And you can kind of sell with confidence, and also you can shop with confidence with a lot of protection there. I think the next layer up would be something like somewhere in between RealReal and Fashionfile. And if you are shopping on these platforms, that's one thing. That's like a separate video, like reselling shopping. But if you're selling on these platforms, then you need to really think about what's most important to you in terms of getting a return on the thing that you're selling. So the RealReal is notorious for items that don't sell, cutting the price and then cutting the price and cutting the price. And you need to just be really comfortable with the fact that you may give them a blouse that you paid $1,000 for, and they may end up giving you $50 for that. And for me, I'm comfortable with it just knowing, okay, somebody's gonna take it and use it and it will not go into landfill. Like, that is why I like to use the RealReal. It's not necessarily to maximize profits. Also with the RealReal, like as you move up in tiers, you get paid more. And I'm even at the point now where I can have the RealReal come to my home, do an appointment. They come, they pick it up, they take it away. I don't even have to schlep anywhere or really talk to them. I just have to figure out what I'm selling, put it in a pile, and they kind of take it away for me. Now they only accept certain brands. And for some of the, I think for Hermes, which I don't resell just because of the way that the brand is about reselling. But on the RealReal website, Hermes, Louis Vuitton, and Chanel, they all do kind of price reviews, especially for jewelry and handbags. And so at least you have that protection, but we still heard nightmares. Use it at your own risk. I've heard things about people losing things, knock on wood, but that is a platform that I use. Then there's Fashionfile, and Fashionfile is really market dependent. There's a lot of ups and downs in the market in terms of reselling with Fashionfile. You kind of get quotes all over the board. I've heard of people getting quote offers for mini Chanel for like a couple $1,000s, which is just ridiculous. And I've also heard of people getting really amazing offers on, some hard to find bags. And I think it's very dependent on the individual that's evaluating and pricing the bag. And then it's also really dependent on current trends in the market. And right now, reselling, it's a tight market out there, like especially as compared to like last year or the prior 2 years, just with the economy and everything like that going on. There's more people looking to resell, maybe looking for excess cash or just kind of rethinking past purchases. And so that has put a lot of pressure on Fashionfile. And if you go on there, you see they have a lot of inventory, which means they're not going to be paying as much for those bags. So it's always nice to get a Fashionfile quote just to kind of, help place the item in the market in your mind. But I found less and less that I've been using them. I did have better luck actually going in person to Fashionfile in Neiman Marcus. There are some all over the country, and you make an appointment with them, and then you're talking with a real person who can really see and feel and evaluate the bag for themselves. Part of the trouble with Fashionfile, I feel, is I can be really picky or probably like overly disclose a bag where I'm like, oh, there's scratches here, there's scuffs there, there's this, there's that. And so my quotes come back really low. Whereas when someone sees the item in person, she's like, oh, this is excellent condition. And I'm like, well, what about? And she's like, no, it's excellent condition. So there's that aspect as well. And then the last option, which is actually something that I've used for higher value bags, which is lesser known, are private resellers. And so there's a bunch of different private resellers that exist on Instagram, who I've used before, who are kind of like, it's like Fashionfile-ish because it's consignment. They're not doing buyouts. So it's kind of like RealReal-ish, but it's highly personalized, connection-based, client-based. Like you develop a relationship directly with the person who's selling, and they have direct relationships with clients who are buying. And so they can kind of help you gauge interest, figure out price, fair pricing, help market the bag. And I've done some shopping with a set of those. I've specifically used Curator Lab, Lauren, who's really amazing and has helped me rehome some bags I unexpectedly got 2 Kellys this year, which was kind of like the big curveball where I was like, whoa, I need to figure out my bag budget for the year. That was like a big curveball for me that I really didn't expect, but we dealt with it, and I was able to rehome some bags that I really wasn't using and didn't anticipate myself ever really using or reaching for in the future given my new bags. So yeah, that is kind of like the last little extra one, where I would say these private resellers, these smaller resellers, it's more of like a niche market. So you have to kind of do your own legwork and homework to find the right person to pair with. It's like a personal kind of client relationship. But once you do that, I think that that can be a really valuable way to kind of work with someone one-on-one, both for buying and selling. You can get access to pieces that maybe you missed out on in the past. And then also I think get more value for your bags. You know, working with Lauren, it wasn't really like, I wasn't so firm, like I want exactly this for this or exactly this for that. But I was like, hey, I have like a target amount, which was actually the price I paid for my Kelly. I was like, hey, I'm going to target this just to kind of like net out the budget to zero. And she was like, yeah, I think I can try and work with that. Obviously can't promise anything, you know, like we worked together on the consignment contract, but that was really helpful because it's like talking to a real person and having a real relationship is so much better than like the black hole of the real. Like when I send things to the real, to me, I'm like, it's gone forever. Like I can't think about it because it just hurts my brain too much. And if you are thinking about it, I think that's where all of the bad reviews for the real come on. But for me, I'm like out of sight, out of mind. I don't think about it. And then on the 15th, when they're like, hey, we're depositing money into your account, I'm like, hey, this is great. I like, you know, got rid of that stuff and now I have this money, and I do not go back and try and do the math and figure out, you know, how much I paid for like such and such Gucci shoes and how much I got back. No, it's all in the past. It's said and done. I've let go of it. I've moved on. But for these higher value, more expensive items, I think really, you know, doing the concierge service, doing the one-on-one, besides Lauren, there's a bunch of people on Instagram that I really trust, but you should do your own research. Ace of Style I've purchased from, I have not sold with. It's hard just because she's on the other side of the country. Revival Stylist. And then there's a group of people who do bag reselling in this, like it's called the Christos Network. There's this guy Christos and he has this bag reselling network. Obviously do your own research. I don't want to like kind of blindly endorse, but I have purchased and sold within the network and had a really good experience, me personally. And so make sure that, you know, if you look into it for yourself. I guess the qualifiers aren't because of like a lack of trust or anything like that. I just like hate interloping with like financial advice and stuff like that. Yeah, it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but you know what I mean? Like any kind of advice like that, just blindly throwing it out there to the masses. Do your own research, make sure it's for you, because that concierge kind of one-on-one partnership was really for me. And, but it's kind of like to your tastes. Anyway, so those are my experiences reselling. Those are all the different platforms that I kind of look at and think about when I have things. You know, maybe it's a pair of shoes that's like really worn. Maybe it's a top that just doesn't fit me anymore. You know, there's all these sorts of things that we kind of accumulate in our lives. And one of the things I really love to do is just go back and edit down and also make room for all of the new stuff that's coming. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful to you. If you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments down below. But otherwise, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you guys later. Okay, bye.